Make a declaration into the darkness of your life. Greater is He who is in me. Just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean God is not working. God always ends on all is well. If all is not well, then it's not the end. Just because you are in an uncertain place doesn't mean you don't have a certain purpose. You can trust where God is leading you. Don't be so afraid of what you're walking into that you forget who you're walking in with. If you're following God in a strange place, trust Him with all your heart. He will direct you. Trust the Lord your God who loves you, is still moving mountains. Speak it before you see it. That is faith in action. Get in the habit of speaking victory over your life. Nothing happens until you speak. Don't use your words to describe the situation. Use your words to change the situation. God is able. When it seems the least likely, that's when God shows up the greatest. The way you move forward in faith is knowing that God is working all things for your good and believing that God will turn your darkest hour into your brightest hour. Stay in faith. God will bring you out of dark seasons better than you were before. Trust God in the dark. You may not see anything improving, but that's okay. Walk by faith, not by sight. Stay expectant that God will fulfill His promises to you because you matter to Him. God has been faithful before and He is faithful now. He won't let you down. God doesn't expect you to figure it all out, but to trust Him one step at a time. When you feel like you can't find your way, trust Jesus to guide you. Don't be discouraged because of a lack of evidence. Trust God with all your heart. Know that God's favor can take you to where you can't go on your own. You have a defender. Stand still and see the deliverance of the Lord. You are not bothering God by praying boldly. Bold prayers get God's attention. Believe that God is leading you into the best plan that He's already laid out. God is stirring something up in the season of your life. The wind doesn't have to stop for you to keep walking toward Jesus. There is nothing outside the reach of the hand of God. The decision to trust God can be made any moment, and He won't fail you. No matter how dark the night gets, God never stops watching over you. Obedience is allowing God to set your direction even when you don't know the details. God is looking for people who don't need evidence to prove that He is working. Draw near to God's throne of grace. In doing so, you will find all the help you need. Even if it seems like you've been waiting for so long and there's no end in sight, know that everything is proceeding as God expected. Our hope in Jesus will never be put to shame. When we continue to trust in the Lord, keeping our hearts and minds fixed on His eternal promises, we can be reassured that our faith will never be in vain. God promises us that we will see His goodness even if right now our circumstances tell a different story. What's worth having is worth waiting for. Be patient and wait on God. Put your faith in Him who is faithful, even though you have no idea where He is taking you. One day, you will understand why God made you wait. What God is doing is beyond what you could ever pray for or think of. The true test of your faith is when you don't understand anything at all and still trust God. Faith is praising God in the storm, trusting Him in the valley, and following Him in the darkness. God is working things out even when you can't see it. Where faith and hope grows, miracles happen. God sees all and knows all. We can trust that He has a better outcome for our lives than we could ever imagine. The same God that carried you through your last difficult season will be faithful to carry you through the one you're working through right now. When we are willing to walk by faith without knowing how it will all work out, we often find our miracle on the other side of obedience. Even when our prayers feel like they are not being answered, we can still pray with expectation and turn our waiting time into a time of worship. Does the path in front of you look dark and overwhelming? God's love and His word can light the way ahead. The God who loves you not only knows the way, but intimately knows your way. Nothing in life, no stress, confusion, or overwhelming troubles can keep God's goodness from us. We can face hardships and doubts and know that His love for us is so great that He endured suffering on the cross. And that same great love for us will be faithful to carry us through whatever we face. God was protecting you from something that was going to steal, kill, and destroy your destiny while you felt you were being rejected. Remember, God has a great plan for you. Maybe there's something in your life today that's not going as planned. Or maybe you are facing fear as you look at your future, or wondering if you'll ever feel normal again. No matter what lies ahead, the truth is, even if your life has changed, God has not. He is steady, consistent, and trustworthy. God never removes something unless He has something better coming. If He didn't stop certain things, we would never get out of our comfort zone. We would stay with what's familiar. What you were satisfied with was only temporary provision, but God has so much more in store for you. God is preparing you for greater things. God is saying, I heard your prayers, now trust my timing. You can have faith or you can have control, but you can't have both. Walk by faith and not by sight. If you're weary from waiting, remember that God may have you right where you need to be for reasons you can't see yet.